Hi, this is Sam Lagana with the Los Angeles Rams. Whose house? You're listening to the Los Angeles Rams UK podcast. Undenied worldwide. The Los Angeles Rams. It doesn't get any better than this. Let's go Rams!
Good evening. Welcome to episode 106 of the LA Rams UK podcast. Pushed it all the way. I'm John, and joining me as always is Andy. Andy, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. You know, we lost, but it was I hate to say a good loss, but that was what it was. And things go our way. We could be having a good discussion this week.
So close, but so far, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, it was.
We'll get into that further soon enough. And also joining Andy and I this evening is Matt. Matt, how are you doing? Welcome to the podcast.
Cheers, buddy. How you doing, guys? All right?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
living the dream now. It's this close to Christmas. Ready to go?
Don't mention that word. I've still got nearly 2 weeks before I have to buy the wife a present. It's a tradition for me. I do it on Christmas Eve.
That's a strong move right there. Love that.
Old school. That is.
Yeah.
Old school move. So Matt joins us this evening, folks. Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? First of all, where are you from, and how long you been a Rams fan for?
So currently I live in Cardiff. I met my wife in 2007. I was in the military at that point. I just come back from Afghanistan, where I was wounded. That's an whole other story. But yes, I met my wife, and she has quite a large American family, situated between Chicago and St. Louis. So when we got married, 20 of them came over for our wedding, and we got to meet them all for the first time. Welcome to the wedding. And then a year later, we went over to Chicago and St. Louis to go and see them at home, as it were. And they took us all around St. Louis, and we kind of passed through Chicago as a hub for the airport. But whilst we were there, I was offered the tickets to go and see Mizzou play, who are a college team. So I went there. And it was just blown away by the sheer scale, the pageantry, the atmosphere, everything going on at that time. And it really kind of lit a fire in me. And I was like, you know what, this is pretty cool. So when we flew back home, I kind of sat down and looked at it. And I looked, well, Becca's got lots of family in St. Louis. She's got family in Chicago, but we only ever go to Chicago as for the airport. So we're only there for a little bit. So I then looked at the teams, Bears, Rams, and the obvious choice was the St. Louis Rams. So that would have been 2012 when we were in the dome in St. Louis. And my reasoning was, well, the Rams are there. If we go over, I'll try and engineer a late year visit so we can go and see them and go and see the Rams. And then they kindly upsticked and moved to LA.
Yeah.
But I love it. I absolutely love the sport. I used to watch it when I was a kid back in the late 80s, early 90s when it was on Channel 4. And the Dolphins were the big team of the time. And I kind of moved away from it as I got older, but then went to see Mizzou play, and it was literally like flicking a switch. So yeah, it's brilliant. I absolutely adore it. And it was really handy with the hours that it's on. When my youngest was teething and that type of stuff, and up in the night, I could take her downstairs, put the TV on, watch some football and feed or just, soothe. And it was a win-win situation. If I was up, I could watch the football.
Do you know that's one thing they don't tell you about becoming a parent? If you're an American football fan in the UK, it's one of the best things ever because night times feeds just fit in perfectly with like Sunday and Monday night football, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It was an absolute, it was a dream, really.
So, quick question. Was there any chance of you becoming a Bears fan?
No.
Good. Right answer. Great answer.
Absolutely not.
You can stay on the pod now. It's good.
That's good. Another reason that Matt joins us this evening, folks, for those that are in the Discord server, you will have known because this man, jam as he is, has been sending us hundreds and hundreds of pictures and videos because Matt was recently out in LA for the Browns game. So we invited Matt on to basically talk about his experience. So Matt, the floor's yours. How was your trip to LA?
My trip was unbelievable. I was only there for 4 or 5 days, but I had an absolute blast. when I booked the flights back in May, I kind of was looking at the schedule at the time I was booking them, and I was looking at games and then trying to work it out between holidays to find the cheapest flights. And then I saw the Browns game, and I was like, you know what, that should be a win for us. So I was like, boom, gonna book that. Messaged my uncle. I was like, I'm coming over, and that's when I booked my flight. So that was May time. As a top tip, if anyone's thinking of going over, I would definitely look at the sales. I booked my ticket. I flew American Airlines, but booked my ticket through British Airways as they had a sale on. So it was much cheaper to do that than book through the American Airlines direct, which is wild. But that's what I did. And also, if you really want to go out there on the cheap, you can go hand baggage only. So you can get out there for like 400 quid return, which is not bad at all. Anyway, the flights I had were like an 11:15. So I allowed mid-afternoon into LAX, which was a brilliant airport. I sailed straight through. I was probably 20 minutes in the queue for passport control and out the other side. It was really, really quick. I was blown away, actually, how fast it was. My uncle picked me up and then took me back to his place. But spooling on to Sunday, got up, put on all my regalia, including my lucky shoes. I don't know if I've got a set of LA Rams trainers that I wore. I did put a photo up in the Discord server before I left. But if not, I can put it up again if no one saw it. They are a special type of shoe for a special person. Not gonna lie. Anyway, we're driven to SoFi, and the stadium just kind of pops out of nowhere. It's almost like the Spurs ground. It just appears when you're walking down a road to Spurs. You think, "Oh my god, where is this stadium?" And then it pops. Whereas SoFi, it's in Inglewood, so it's quite a rough area of LA, Inglewood. It's not the best, but it's right next to a massive indoor arena called the Kia Center. So there's oodles of parking for those of you that may or may not hire cars. But if you're going to book parking, book it in advance because it's not cheap. However, like everywhere else where there's a stadium, people are offering cheap parking for 40, 50 bucks for those few hours. There's signs everywhere, but caution would be the word because of the area that you're in. You would want to take your brand new hire car to some dodgy car park in Inglewood for 40 bucks. That would be my advice for parking. Anyway, the stadium is insane. I've been to Twickenham, I've been to Wembley, I've been to the Principality, I've been to Spurs. I've been in a lot of stadiums, and there is nothing like that over here at all. Like the ground floor is like levels 4 or 5 of the stadium, so it's dug deep, it's dug down and is deep. So when we arrived, there was a massive Rams sign, huge sign that you can have your perfect photo opportunity. So clearly did that, and then my uncle had the ticket, so he took us round to Gate 6, which, because my eyes were on stalks, I didn't realise was the VIP section. So he'd been gifted a couple of tickets from his boss for the VIP section of the stadium where we're at. So we had epic row 2 seats, which were amazing and super padded and cushy and spaced. I can have a little beer holder, a great view of the field. So we went down and had a look at our seats, looked around the stadium. I was just blown away by the sheer size of it and how loud it is. It is not a quiet place. It is really, really loud. So if you're going to take kids with you, definitely take some ear defense, because at some points during the game, it was over 100 decibels, and that's loud. So we had a look at our seats, and then we went away and we potted around the shops. I bought one of these. One each for my kids. Little Rampage.
One for yourself, surely.
My youngest isn't that interested, so I've stolen it.
Oh, wow. There you
Fair
go
enough.
then.
Don't blame you.
$25 for that.
That's not bad.
So $50 for the pair. The shop in the stadium is expensive. They wanted $190 for a Puka shirt, and I was like, "That's punchy." You can buy one off Fanatics and get it sent over for cheaper than buying it in the stadium. So
And that would have been one of the game jerseys. That's not even like a vapor, was it?
No, that's just your bog standard replica jersey. And I was like, no, that's insane. Really, really expensive. But as we went in, I forgot to say, everyone was given one of these towels. I don't know if you can see that, but
What's it say under the skull? Crossbones can't quite make that out.
one peg. I think there was a definitive pirate theme to all the announcements on the screen with the game. There was pirates everywhere, all over the scoreboards and stuff during the game. So it was obviously some sort of sponsor, or it says one piece. One piece. What do you reckon, guys?
Yeah, it looks like one.
Yeah, like
piece.
One Piece. Yeah, it does look like One Piece.
So that's what they were all over the place, but we were all given one of those, which was quite a nice touch, because then you could wave it around when it's third downs and stuff. So that was cool. After walking around the shops, I bumped into Sam Lagana, the stadium announcement. So I met him back in 2019 when I was at Wembley for the Rams Bengals game, and I was pitch side because I was with the military. I was part of the colour party, so I was right on the pitch, and I was just bimbling around, looking at it and taking it all in. And I bumped into him, and we had a right old natter. And it turned out he told me he was with the Rams and that he did all the stadium announcements. I was like, that's pretty cool. So obviously follow him on Twitter or X or whatever that it's called nowadays, and started meshing him up. And then over the last sort of 6 months, I've been like, I'm definitely coming. I'm coming. I've booked. I'm coming to the Browns game. So yeah, hopefully I might see you in the stadium. And as we were walking around the shop on the level 4, I turned round and he was there, and I was like, Sam, and he was like, Matt. And I was like, how are you? And it was like really bizarre meeting as he was just taking in the atmosphere himself of the game. So that was quite cool. There was also a NFL, a Rams legend from the late 80s, and he spoke so fast for the life of me. I didn't get his name, but he was very chatty, and he was doing signings and photos and stuff. But that was kind of down in the VIP area, so unless you get those type of tickets, then you're not gonna see that. But there was plenty to do up on the upper concourse. You could get little buttons made up, get your face painted, all of that type of jazz was up there, which was quite cool. It was packed up there. It was absolutely rammed. We didn't go to the tailgate because my uncle didn't book any tickets for that, because we had VIP tickets and stuff. Right. So that would be one thing I would like to do next time, is go to the tailgate. I've got mates who are Eagles fans, and they've been to Philly and done the tailgate, and they said it's incredible. It's like $60 all in. Drink as much, eat as much as you can in the space of 3 hours before the game starts. So yeah, it can be worth it. So if someone's doing that, let me know what it's like, because I'd quite like to do it myself. The food and drink. Oh, it's punchy pricey. It is turbo expensive. So 2 pints of beer, 2 bottles of water in a special SoFi aluminum cup, $54.
Oh, Jesus.
I thought Norway was expensive. I thought Norway was expensive for beer, but oh my lord.
I know. My eyes popped out when he turned and said, oh yeah, that's $54. I was like, for what? But there we go. When in Rome, I was like,
silly, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Oh, SoFi is cashless. Everything is done by card. So just a top tip, that if you're thinking you can buy stuff with money, with cash, then that ain't going to happen. You've got to take a card with you. So yeah, I bought the beers. Yeah, 2 of them that I had for me and my uncle, and he went away and got some food which cost just about the same. So 2 burgers and 2 chips was about $50. So it's really expensive, including tax and tip and this, that, and the other. However, the chips were probably the best chips I've ever had in a stadium. They were excellent chips. So the burger was pretty good as well, actually. So didn't begrudge. Well, I didn't buy it, but I wouldn't begrudge buying that if I'd been on my own or with my daughter or my wife. But yeah, the food was good, and you got lots of these seating areas everywhere. So we sat down, was busy scoffing away, and these Browns fans came down and sat next to us, and they couldn't be more Trump supporters if they tried. It was a really random, bizarre conversation that we had with them, and we were like, "Okay, then, see you later." As we sloped off to the left, and then went back down to our seats, sat down and watched the players warming up. We were on our seats were by the Browns bench, so they were streaming out in front of us, and the Rams were coming out the other side. But it's just incredible. So the atmosphere just grabs you by the scruff of the neck and pulls you straight in, and you're in hook, line, and sinker. It's amazing. The cheerleaders were all out, and they have 6 to 8 cheerleaders on each corner. So literally, they were right in front of us, and then they rotate round the stadium as things are going on. The players obviously were on the other sideline to us, but when they were coming up, you could see some of them were warming up in our part of the stadium, and you could see them, especially the O-line, were warming up there. You could see Rob Haverstein and stuff like that there, which is quite nice. I saw Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford going through some drills in the centre. I saw Carson Wentz. I still can't believe he's there. Boggles my mind slightly. But yeah, on the whole, like the atmosphere to the start of the game was epic, and the stadium fills up really quickly. And what was nice, it's very much like the rugby. There's no separated areas. Everyone sits next to everyone else, so it is a kind of fun atmosphere. And I didn't see any aggro at all, any argy-bargy, anyone just being belted, is one of the better words. So that was quite nice. So if you were going to take your children, I would feel safe taking my kids to that environment, whereas I wouldn't feel terribly safe taking my kids to Cardiff City Stadium, for one of the better words, because it's just, I worry about football fans and violence and hooliganism. Whereas with the NFL, you do see some stuff online, but in that particular game, I didn't see anything, and it felt really safe that I would definitely take my kids with severe defence because it was loud. But that 360-degree screen, what an item to have! What an amazing bit of kit! Because it doesn't matter if you're right up in the sticks, right up in the gods, you can still see the screen because it's double-sided. So it's incredible. So if you're right up there, you can see exactly what's going on. Or if you're right at the front of the stadium and you look up, you can see exactly what's going on. And you can see why the players look up at the screen for the replays, because it's just vast and it's so clear. So when they're looking up, you're looking up as well. You're like, oh yeah, I can see that false start, or I can see that holding call, or that pass interference and stuff. It's brilliant. And it just brings an added advantage to the game, because I was explaining to my uncle at the time, so I was like, right, if you look up at the screen now, you can see where he's being held, or you can see that he's being tugged whilst he's running. It's a really useful bit of kit and allows the game to be viewed better, because even though we were quite close, when the players are at the other end of the field, they're a mile away, so it's quite handy to look at the screen sometimes to see what's going on. The national anthem, I don't know. Did anyone watch the game?
Yeah, I did watch the game, yeah.
Yeah. So the national anthem done was by this guy on the saxophone, which I wasn't expecting at all. And I was like, actually, this is a bit chip shop doing it with a saxophone, no singer. But in actual fact, it was really good. And everyone kind of bought into the fact that he was there with a saxophone playing the national anthem. and having a time of his life whilst doing it. Now that last note went on and on and on and on, and in the end, I think it ended up being a world record for the longest note held in a national anthem whilst being played. So that's probably why he did it. The roof was on. It's a retractable roof, I think. So it was covered. That's what my uncle said. It's retractable. I'm not convinced, but it didn't feel hot and it didn't feel cold at all, given that we were there from mid-afternoon to early evening. It was a very comfortable environment to be in for those 4 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the roof's retractable. I think what it is the sides can be lifted out to allow the sea breeze through. But I don't think the roof can actually be moved, if I remember rightly.
It was a perfect environment to be in to watch football. And as I said, the seat was really comfy and it was wide, so you had plenty of room you didn't feel like you were like this to the person next to you that you can be if you're watching a rugby game. You know, you're cushed in, but we had lots of space. And the atmosphere was just amazing. And there were a fair few Browns fans there, more than I thought there was going to be. And they definitely made their voices heard with their dog barking and stuff. But yeah, it was just epic, absolutely epic. And you could tell towards it, as we scored in the fourth, when we had the interception, actually, that kind of put the nail in the coffin for the game. I had that interception and we scored again. Like you can see Browns fans just streaming out at the end of the fourth quarter. And then what was quite funny, and I did find this highly amusing, is that with the fan cam, they then were sent it in on Browns fans and they were all bawling their eyes out.
just rub salt in the wounds.
Yeah.
Did you have any? Was there any halftime entertainment?
Was it? No, not. There wasn't a concert. There wasn't a musician or anything.
Were you there the week? Was it the mascot game took place? I don't know if it was the week you were there.
Yes. Yeah, I caught the end of that because I disappeared off to the toilet and the queue was massive. And went on and on, but actually moved quite quickly for where we were. The queue was quite long for the facilities. But so by the time I queued up, had a pee and come back again, the game was just, the players were just coming back onto the field. It was just epic. And I would highly recommend, if you're going to go look at tickets, look at seats, look at the flights. There is plenty of accommodation, dodgy motels all over the place near the stadium that you could potentially stay in for a night if you wanted to, or you could get an Uber back into town. There was loads and loads of Ubers and taxis outside the stadium at the end. They had it really well organised, as well as the usual people selling game day stuff that you could buy in there, with scarves and T-shirts and this, that, and the other. But as we were leaving, they were dishing out pennants.
Oh, very nice.
Nice.
So everyone got one of those as well on the way out. So you came away with 2 bits of freebies.
Not bad. I looked up that One Piece is an anime show.
Yeah, it's a manga comic.
Yeah, it's been going around since the late 90s by the looks of it.
Yeah, so all in all, the stadium was epic. There is nothing like that here in the UK for atmosphere. The sheer size of it is just massive because where I was at the bottom on the it just looking up, it was just vast. I know we've got big stadiums here, but this just seemed huge. And it's just an amazing stadium. I mean, I know it's brand new, $6 billion and all the rest of it, but they spent their money well. Everything was crispy clean and stuff. I know it's been around for a few years, but well worth a visit, even if you're right up in the gods in the $30 ticket area. I think you'd still have just as good time as I did in row 2. You might not see much of little people running around, but that's where you got a massive screen in front of you. You can look at it. Sam was loud throughout the game. The third down screaming and shouting was loud all the way through. I know there's a lot of talk of not many Rams fans being there. It's always plugged out with other fans, but to me, it was a good 70-30 split, Rams-Browns. Because we're winning games of late, I think that's enticing more people in. And obviously the price of tickets will vary depending on which team is coming. So, the seats I had were excellent, but I imagine that the seats I had for 49ers game would probably maybe 3 or 4 times the price than the Browns game, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really worth it. And then flying back, I took the 11:30 flight back from LAX at night. That aircraft was empty. The whole back of the aircraft was empty. People were moving back to sleep in the 4 rows at the back of the aircraft. So that would be my top tip coming back, is get the 11:30 flight. They serve food really quickly, then they leave you alone for the rest of it. So you could probably, if you're knackered like I was, I smashed out 5.5 hours sleep on the plane. So that would be my top tip. And Heathrow was a dream when I got through the other end. Took me longer to walk to the gate. Took me longer to walk to passport control than it did for me to get through it.
Oh, cool. So all in all, a good trip then?
Yeah. Contemplating, definitely going out for the Super Bowl in 2027. Sees my uncle lives there. I clearly won't get tickets, but I can go and sit there. His neighbours are lovely. One is a Cowboys fan. I'm vomit-inducing, but I'll sit there and watch the football on his massive TV in their garden. But awesome. I think I'd like to do that for 2027.
Awesome. We'll get into that bit of news later on. But that's great, Matt. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. I'm glad you had a good trip.
Recommend it to anyone. Look at it, price it up, and you can do it on the cheap if you really need to. There's ways and means of getting out there. As I said, hand baggage, 400 quid return. Book a year in advance if needs be. Take a punt. You can always move your flight and when the season comes out. So I definitely, anyone that wants to go, just go and experience it, because there's nothing, not even when the NFL comes to London, is it like that.
Yep, you heard it here first, folks. Get yourselves booked, get the bags packed, and get yourselves to LA. So, moving on, folks, from that positive report there we've had there, it's a tough one to say. It's kind of positive, but it's kind of negative as well. And that was the Week 14 loss against the Ravens. So the Rams travelled out east. We had a more reasonable kickoff time at 6 o'clock. We were on Sky Sports. And surprisingly, we pushed the Ravens all the way to overtime and unfortunately came out losing 37-31. Andy, initial thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think like I said when I came on, we don't want to lose, but, if you'd have said to me, last week before the game, we'd have pushed them to overtime and potentially could have, snatched the win. That's all we could have asked for, the season we're having. And it was only, unfortunately, 1 or 2 calls that should have been that weren't, again, refereeing discussion of how pants they are. We could have won this game.
Yeah.
How that block in the back was not called for the, punt return, I do not know. It was as blatant as anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was really blatant and poor. It seems to be the key to this season. Every time you look online or you look at the NFL app or you're looking on NFL Network, there's another conversation about how poor the referees have been, how they're missing this, how they're missing that. You saw Patrick Mahomes lose his temper on the weekend. For that, cool.
Yeah, in fairness, though, that guy was just that far out offside. He may as well have been in the end zone waiting for the ball.
Very true. So you're apart from the poor refereeing, Matt, what was your initial take on the game?
To be truthful, I was expecting we were going to get hammered. The Ravens are on fire this season. I'm still worried about our O-line and the protection of Stafford throughout games. But it worked last week against the Browns, and it worked again this week. I do think that we may have come on quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, and to push the Ravens all the way to the end and put 30 points on them is a positive step. The O-line seems to have got a grip of itself. I don't know whether that's been because players are now coming back from being injured, whether or not the rookies have had enough time to get their heads together and understand how it's played. I'm not sure, but there seems to be a bit more protection for Stafford now than there has been in the last month, certainly. So a positive game with a rubbish result. It would be my overtake. It's nice to see Cooper Kupp getting back in the action. He seems to he's probably had his confidence knocked. A couple of injuries late last season, early this season, not quite in the swing of things. The touchdown against the Browns has probably given him a bit more confidence, and then another one against the Ravens. It's nice to see Robinson get on the board, and there's not enough good enough words to talk about how amazing Puka is.
Yeah. Just on the topic of Kupp there, for the first time this year, Kupp led us in receiving 115 yards off of 8 receptions. It's the first time this year where he's been our number one guy in the stats. But just as you said, Puka Nacua again, over 1,100 yards now for the season. Davis Allen with a touchdown. Demarcus Robinson, as I said, getting on the board as well. Those were the kind of four main guys that Stafford targeted through the game, thrown for 294 yards with 23 completions. 23 for 41 it was, so it was just about above 50%. Overall, going into this game, like you guys have both touched upon, I think we're basically, for lack of a better phrase, expecting to get absolutely pummeled by the Ravens, especially with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, who, despite him scrambling quite a lot and doing what he usually does against us, we did not bad to kind of contain him. I mean, well, saying that, he did rush against us for 70 yards. Maybe I'll take that back, maybe. But
yeah, times.
All in all, this is the Ravens. It's in Baltimore. It was cold. It was wet. You know, not an easy place to go to. Just looking at the stats there, interesting that Odell Beckham Jr. was actually their leading receiver, and of course he was going to score a touchdown against us.
I think we said that last week, mate. It wasn't going to surprise us if he went off for 100 plus yards, a couple of touchdowns, and dunked all over us. But going back to your Lamar thing, we couldn't contain him, especially in the rushing. He was. But how many times did we have chances to get him down, and he just made guys. He just little juke, little flip, and he was gone. And even when people were getting their hands on him, he was just shrugging it off and just going anyway.
Twinkle toes.
Yeah, it is one thing I think we do struggle defensively throughout the years is mobile quarterbacks, which is surprising considering we've got Kyler Murray in our division. That we've got to face twice a year, but it is one of our. It's always been that weakness for us. I feel that we just never seem to be able to contain them as well as we should do.
No, but what team has contained Lamar Jackson?
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah,
like you said, he's a proper twinkle toes on the field.
Oh yeah,
he's difficult to bring down, and I think any team realistically would struggle against him.
The only team I've ever seen successfully keep him in check is the Steelers. They seem to know how to keep the guy in check. So maybe we should look at their defense and say, right, how do they do it? And we'll try and copy.
Yeah, 100%. Let's steal their playbook.
Yeah,
I'll go out to Pittsburgh and do it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I know what you're saying about comparing Jackson and Murray as being a scrambling quarterback. I think because we come up against Murray twice a year, we've got his number, we know what he's going to do in spec, whereas Lamar Jackson, you can watch as many tapes as you want, but like you said, Andy, all it takes is that little juke, that little kind of adjustment by him, and he's off. We don't come up against guys like him that often that our players can get a good measure of him. Plus, he's, quite frankly, that good a quarterback as well that he's just... You could play him twice a year and you just could have no answer for him as well.
Yeah, let's be honest. The guy's up there. I think he's now top 3 for MVP consideration. So he's obviously, and the guy has come along in his passing game this year as well. He looks more complete than he's ever. But like we say, overall the game, a couple of correct decisions going our way, and maybe one dropped past at the end, to keep the drive going, and we could have walked away with this game.
Yeah.
That's it. Plus, also,
that's positive for us.
Plus, like when Kyren Williams rushing for over 100 yards again, we're consistently getting over 100 yards of rushing, from one guy, which in years gone by, like you're going back to Todd Gurley, where we'd had like one running back who would consistently get us over 100 yards. Usually it's the 100 yards split over maybe 2 or 3 guys. So like Kyren Williams is definitely, especially against a team like the Ravens, right enough, Kyren Williams is definitely emerging as like, our answer at the running back in terms of grinding out the yardage for us.
Yeah. I actually saw someone put a comparison up. I think it was actually on the NFL website today, just earlier on, and he called Williams a cut price McCaffrey.
Yeah, I can see that.
If that's what we're getting out of Kyren Williams, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'm easily going to take that.
I could definitely see that. Like, he is very good at making players look stupid when he's on the move, and when he does get going, he turns those jets on. He is gone, like McCaffrey is. I let's hope so. It'd be nice to stuff the 49ers at the end of the season. Oh God, that would be epic.
It will be, but the other thing with this game that I suppose it was maybe good if you were a neutral, it was probably a good one to watch because the leads just kept changing. It was, when you actually look at the scoring summary, it's basically just, it reads as if it's almost end-to-end stuff, basically. So I mean, from a neutral's point of view, it would have been a very good game to watch. How did you guys feel? It's 31-28 to the Browns. 7 seconds to go. Havlicek is lining up to tee this up. What was your thoughts on it, guys? Did you have concern that he was going to miss it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you said no, you'd be waffling, you'd be lying through your teeth.
Yeah.
He's just, I know he's a rookie, but he doesn't instill me with confidence. I'm really hoping that we do something in the off season and get a reliable kicker in, someone who you can rely on week in, week out to score those points. But Havlicek is not the dude, bless him. And being a kicker is a really difficult position to be in because you miss one kick and everyone is all over you like a tramp on chips.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, you're usually good with the stats in this, right? But see, looking at stats this week, he was 100% for all these kicks.
Yep.
This week, and I think it's the only week when he's made every kick he's made.
So maybe that us bringing in Crosby is sort of that bit of pressure behind his backside has maybe lit that fire and a spark under his backside to basically say, and the fact that we've also now cut Crosby obviously tells us maybe the coaches are feeling a little bit more confident with him. Kicker's one of those positions as well. It is one of those confidence positions. If your kicker's full of confidence, he's more likely to miss it. If his confidence is low, you do tend to find they do start. When you have to look at Matt Gay, when he got cut, it was the guy's washed, the guy's useless, the guy can't do anything. We signed him, he got a bit of confidence, and
he was excellent.
Yeah. I'm not saying Havlicek can be Matt Gay, but maybe if he's got that confidence to, keep going, he can do something.
Maybe. I still like us to sign another kicker.
I would
just to give him competition and say, look, I am on your heels. If you don't play the game, then I will do what's required. See you later.
Use up one of those spaces in the practice squad and just have somebody sat there ready, so that if he does start missing, we can sort of swap him out. But got to give the guy credit this week. He's responded to the pressure that he was under, and has come out. And if this is what we're going to get out of him, then yeah, that's fine. But like you say, every time he comes up, you know, it's third down and we're bringing the kicker out, you're all of a sudden thinking, oh, is this, you know,
You
is
don't
this
have
about to be
that
another
overwhelming
shanked kick?
confidence.
Yeah. Is this another one that's going to go? Even extra points at the moment, you're thinking, you know, even on an extra point, you're like, oh, is he going to make this? Even the extra points,
Oh,
you really.
yeah. Speaking of extra points, the one against the Browns, on the first touchdown that we had, first touchdown, yeah, we went down the score. It looked like it had gone wide right. How they called that in was beyond me, because it looked like it had gone wide right as opposed to either through or over the top. But yeah, you just get that. You do get that. Is he going to miss it moment,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yeah, we do have
Yeah,
that.
considering like the countless games that literally kick him down to how good your kicker is, like you need confidence in that guy, be it for extra points or be it for field goals. And granted, he made a 51-yarder, you know, against the Ravens, you know, outdoors as well, and there would have been a bit of wind, you know, but you need that confidence there. But flipping over to the defense side, ignoring the fact that we gave up 37 points against the Ravens, is there anyone, and they'll come to you first, from the defense you want to highlight as playing well this week?
Yeah, you know, overall, obviously Witherspoon getting an interception, you know, that was nice to see, you know, and Byron Young getting another sack, which now puts him as the sack leader out of all rookies this year. You know, for a guy who was, you know, very much when he came out of college in the pundits, when we drafted him, he was a hit and miss. You know, it could be successful or he could be a complete wash because of his age and his history. Yeah. You know, so far he's been a good draft pick, you know, and like we've said before with the guy, you know, he may never be a, you know, number one star pass rusher, you know, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett. But if we could get somebody alongside him on the other side who is that number one, he's an ideal number two, you know. And I will say I've also noticed it now we're not using Hoyt to drop back into coverage. They're using Byron Young, so they're using his athleticism now to actually help cover tight ends and running backs when they're slipping out. And he does seem to, on the whole, do a decent job of it. You know, so he seems to, again, he's another one, much like Kobe Turner as the season's gone on. He's developing more. He's learning the position. He's learning the game. And he seems to each week look better and better as he's going.
Yep. Matt, anyone in the defense you wanted to highlight from this week?
Byron Young, definitely. He's a good prospect. I do like him. Yeast, like they're all so young, and they're obviously learning their trade, and it's been a difficult season for the defense, especially in the secondary. But yeah, out of anyone like Byron Young is good. Obviously, Aaron Donald, clearly legend that he is. But yeah, it's nice to see the defense working as a unit and working well. Raheem Morris is obviously working some magic back there, teaching all these youngsters and rookies how it works and what they need to do. And it takes time for it to happen. And I do feel that they're getting there. Kendricks just frustrates me so much. I just find that he's like a bit like Marcus Peters, always looking for the big play, not doing what he should be doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I find that Marcus Peters, when we had him, he was looking for the interception. He was looking for the big star play rather than doing the nitty-gritty blocking and tracking and all the rest of it. And I just feel that Kendricks is in that position. I hope that he sorted his personal life out, and that concerns me that we had a guy who was arrested for carrying an illegal a weapon, and I hope that they've got a grip of him and said, right, you need to pull your finger out. Yep. But he does frustrate me big time. But the rest of them are doing really well for rookies, and I think we need to remember as a fan base that they are youngsters and they are learning their trade. And it's difficult coming into that stadium and B, the Rams, who are Super Bowl champions from a couple of years ago. Big steps as opposed to baby steps. So there's definitely been an element of you need to hit the ground running, and we'll try and get you there. You need to listen to what you're being told.
For me, a couple of guys I wanted to highlight. First of all, it's Ernest Jones, recording a sack against Lamar Jackson. Byron Young also for recording a sack against Lamar Jackson, which is an impressive feat. John Johnson for leading us in tackling this week. And also, I hadn't thought about it, and his name got mentioned by one of you guys just a couple of minutes ago. And he's probably one man that we've not actually spoke about, or I would say have seen anyone complain about this season, which is a first, given he's been with us for a few years now, and that's Raheem Morris. When you think about it, there's like in the last couple of years, people have complained about him as our defensive coordinator, but this year, no one's really given him much criticism. And I think he deserves a bit of praise because, like you guys are pointing out, got a lot of young guys there. On the defense, a lot of guys who, find themselves in positions they probably didn't find them into as in being starters for us. And, Raheem Morris, he deserves a lot of credit for what he's actually been able to churn out of this defense. And that's not to play down any of the guys, even in weeks where some of the guys, Kendrick, I'm looking at you, haven't had great performances. Some of these guys that he's been able to work with, we expected to be having teams blowing us out week in, week out. It's one thing you'd said, Andy, I think when we done our season preview, that in order for us to win games, it's going to have to be games like the equivalent of the Chiefs Monday Night Football game, absolute blowout. It's just that shootout between the offenses, whereas for the most part, it's not what we're seeing, with the exception of one or two games. The Cowboys and giving up 37 points this week. For the most part, he's got the defense with the guys he's got there. He's got them playing pretty well, all things considered. Would you agree, guys? And would you agree that people are overlooking the job that he's actually doing in defense this year?
100%. When you think about it, it was only in the last few weeks when we are starting to get interceptions back. Those things haven't happened up until last week, up until the Browns game. I can't remember an interception before then. And things are starting to fall into place, and you can see them taking those steps forward. And he deserves, and his team of coaches deserve pats on the back to get for what they've done so far.
Yeah, exactly. He's done a good job this season. As much as we've been critical of him in the past of how his defense plays, this year he's looked at who he's got. He's gone, right, okay, this is going to be the scheme. We'll stick to it. He does seem to be keeping things simple, I'd say, for these youngsters. When he's not overtaxing them and he's getting them in the right positions. And you can't knock the guy this year for what he, as you say, what he has done. And hopefully, if he can get it makes me excited that if we can get more talent now into this defense, especially into the secondary, another pass rusher, maybe another linebacker to go alongside Ernest Jones, that this defense could actually be, like our Super Bowl winning defense again, fairly quickly.
I think one of the things that I'm a bit worried about now, and 12 months ago, I would definitely have not said this, is losing Raheem Morris now, because I think he's now fully embedded into the team, he's fully settled in, and we're actually now seeing how good a defensive coach can be. My worry is losing him now, because there's a raft of coaching changes due to happen throughout the NFL. The Chargers are looking like they're going to get a Staley for one. Belichick's moving on from the Patriots, it looks like, after God knows how many years he's actually been there. But you get the standard kind of coaches moving around, but there seems like there's going to be quite a number this year. That is anyone going to come knocking at the door for Morris? And I hope not, to be honest, because he's doing a really good job with what he's got. And like you said, Andy, we could get another good draft like we had last year and add some more quality, be it in free agency or from the draft. He could have a Super Bowl winning defense ready-made next year for us.
I think we may be lucky that we may keep Morris because the league tends to be more trending now towards offensive-minded head coaches.
Uh-huh.
You know, the likes of, so I think the likes of Ben Johnson for Detroit and a few others are likely to get those jobs before the likes of Raheem Morris. It does seem to be the trend now for the NFL. They want the offensive head coach.
Yeah.
Because if, you've like Detroit now, they've had a good year with an offensive coordinator who's doing, good stuff on the whole for them. They're likely to lose them. They're going, much like we've had where coaches or offensive, coordinators keep going every year. Someone's signing them every year. So we're rolling through them. Teams don't want that anymore. So they want the head coach to be the offensive coordinator as well. So they've got them locked down long term. So they're not losing them, and they're not worried too much about getting a defensive mind in. You only have to look at Brandon. The likes of Brandon Staley. How poor that's been. A lot of teams now are being put off. So hopefully for us, Raheem Morris won't get any interviews and he won't get hired. Hopefully. Now, he'll make a lie out of me now and probably go to New England or something and make us look like a fool. But, that tends to be the way.
Wasn't he interviewed last year?
It was. Was it the...
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember who he interviewed for, but he was interviewed last year. And I was like, oh, don't let him go. Don't let him go. We need him. But yeah, I think you're right, Andy. I think that everything is more offensive minded as opposed to defensive minded. So hopefully we will hold on to him. I do feel that we need an Aaron Donald replacement in the next 2 years.
We've got him. His name's Kobe Turner.
Yeah, you reckon?
Mm-hmm. I've said that a few weeks now. The guy has got. He's not going to be as great as Aaron Donald, but he is. He's a potential guy who can step in.
Yeah.
Because you can see a lot of what Aaron Donald does is rubbing off on Kobe Turner, and because AD's getting doubled or triple team, basically Turner's able to step up and do what he does.
Well, this guy getting held constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Aaron Donald's topic there, it looks like he's definitely going to be retired before 2027. He's pretty much said as much today, because he got asked, if you've not heard, folks, that Super Bowl 61 will be at SoFi. Aaron Donald got asked, will he be around to play at the Super Bowl in 2027? And he basically made a remark like, no. So,
yeah, but he's going to say that because he wants to keep these guys on the toes.
I think it's a case of, for him, I think it'll be see how he gets on. If he's still injury free and he's got that hunger, why wouldn't he want to play? I think you look at Andrew Whitworth, you kind of got the feeling that at the end of the Super Bowl, that was it. No matter what happened that season, that was it. He was 40. Everything was taking longer to get over, aches and pains and all the rest of it. You had to be managed. And I think that for Aaron, I think that it will be definitely that kind of vibe. Am I still enjoying it? Yes. Am I still winning games? Yes. Can my body still cope? Yes. And then he'll make that decision. Hopefully he'll be there in 27. If not, as a coach.
Yeah, possibility.
Well, you never know. So
I'll call it now. We win the Super Bowl at the Weiner Stadium and then come and win it in our own stadium again the year after. There we go.
Back to back.
That would be perfect.
Can you imagine
winning it at the Weiner Stadium and then the year after we go back and win it in our own again? That would just be to shut them all up once and for all.
That would be
the SoFi South, as I like to call it. We'll call SoFi North instead.
Yeah.
That would just be the perfect way to stick two fingers up at the Weiners.
So, just before we wrap up the first part of this week's podcast, guys, just having a quick rundown of what happened elsewhere. Did you guys catch any of the games happening elsewhere in the league this week?
Yeah, I caught the Detroit-Chicago game. I did not expect that result in a million years. I don't think anybody did. I think the wheels are, I don't know whether the pressure's getting to Detroit or, what. They just seem the wheels are falling off. Other than that, I'm glad. I was tempted to watch the Minnesota Las Vegas game. Thank God I didn't, because that was a snooze
God.
fest at 3-0.
God, 3-0. What a game. What?
Dallas Philly. I was expecting that to be a bit of a closer game than it actually was. Dallas smashed the living daylights out of Philly.
I think Philly are going to reach a point very soon where they're done. I think they're starting to stumble. Going back to the Lions, we had a hiccup in our Super Bowl season in November. We lost 3 or 4 games on the bounce.
Mm-hmm.
They could be in that zone, and then they could come back stronger.
Oh yeah, it's just their defense does not seem to be playing well, though. It seems to be all over the place at the moment. They can't generate a pass rush. They can't do anything, and they've lost one of their best players on the D line. It'd be like for us losing Aaron Donald, and they've lost McNeil for the year. It just feels like either the pressure's getting to him or the wheels are just starting to fall off a little bit for them.
Yep.
And got Jared Goff's going back to slowly becoming Jared Goofball again with some of his decisions.
Yeah.
Looks like. The other thing I wanted to kind of highlight out of the games elsewhere was the Giants Packers game, and it's not for anything that happened on the field. It was for Tommy DeVito's agent, who seems to have become quite famous. Like, could you not get any more stereotypical as an Italian New Yorker than Tommy DeVito's agent?
Oh God,
the gold chain and everything. Like,
I didn't see it, so.
Oh, just imagine
this guy. It's indescribable. It's because at first I thought it was basically a piss take. I thought it was an absolute piss take, but no, this guy, he's pinstripe suit, all in black, Trilby hat on, big massive gold chain, giving it, forget about it.
Proper mafia, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, just sort of imagine Godfather stood next to a quarterback on the football field. You've basically got what it is.
That's it, man. It's like, and he's all over. He's just all over the news now. And he was interviewed about it, and like the guy's taking it like he's taking it in his stride and all that. He thinks it's hilarious, but like everyone's watching it. I think it was one of the tweets that said that. There was tweets joking about like I'm putting money on the Giants to win and all that, and like then people like tweeting about what business do you think his agent's really in? Is it construction or is it waste management? So many like Sopranos based like tweets and whatnot. So
brilliant.
That was that. But so that about does it, folks, for the first part of this edition.
I just want to highlight before we go is we had a discussion a few weeks ago. Was it worth signing Tyler Higbee to a long-term contract? I think given Davis Allen's performance, which is something I've actually wanted to see, I feel that we could have let Higbee walk, and I think Davis Allen would be a ready-made, better replacement for Higbee, a younger, fitter, healthier guy. All right, he had one dropped pass, but overall, I thought he did really well, and potentially, could have been an easy Higgs replacement and probably a better player than what we're probably getting out of Higbee at the moment, because again, the guy can't stay healthy. Yep. But yeah, the one player I just wanted to highlight on the offense, I thought for his chances did well, and it's something, he had that ability in college and he is starting to show it in the NFL when he's given the chances.
It makes me wonder now what would be the hit for Higbee to go.
I think that although Higbee hasn't been dynamic as he was a couple of years ago, he was reliable, catching balls, scoring touchdowns, moving the ball. I think that because the O-line has struggled so much in the first sort of 6 games, I think because he's been used as a blocker to try and give Matt time and space to launch the ball, I think that he may come into his own in the season. He scored 2 touchdowns against the Cardinals. Things seem to, from that game on, the O-line has sorted themselves out. Maybe he's not as needed as much as a defined blocker. That he'll be able to do a tight end role. I mean, I know a tight end role is to do blocking, but when he's not doing that, he'll have more chance of moving upfield and moving the chains as opposed to blocking continuously, which is what I think he's been doing.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
That's my own personal opinion.
I think we could have saved the cash and just give this rookie, because I did like Davis Allen coming out of college, and I was really happy when we drafted the guy. He's got sure hands. He's, quite dynamic as well. So he was one player I was hoping we'd see, and I did think when we drafted him, I thought that was Higbee done, dusted. This is his final year, but obviously not. But I would like to see the guy given more chances, because I do think he'd fit our offense at the moment better than Higbee does.
Yep. Just having a look at his contract. He's a $6 million hit this year, $11 million hit next year, then $9 million the following. He's with us to 2026 now, when he'll be 34. With the cap space, it makes you wonder whether or not he'll take the hit next year or not on him.
I think we'll see him back next year, and then maybe the year after, if things don't go well, he'll be potentially.
If like you're saying, if Davis Allen steps up further next year, then definitely.
The problem I've got is while Higbee's there, Allen's man isn't going to be given the chance because Higbee's got the role. And that's what worries me.
You're paying Higbee as well, so you're going to play him. Yeah. Definitely. But for part one, folks, that wraps up. For anyone who's watching along, stick with us. The whole point of doing this part is because we're breaking down the audio. It'll get released on Spotify, iTunes, and the usual channels. Just bear with us. This is just a temporary break, just so we can cut the episodes to make it more easier for people to listen to than a mega long episode. So just bear with us, folks, and we will continue in a second. Didn't mean to hit that again. And we're back. Episode 106 of the LA Rams UK podcast, part 2. And in this part, we will be looking, first of all, at the playoff hopes for the LA Rams after a dramatic week of results in the NFC. Guys, how, generally, high level, before we break anything down, how do you think our chances are for making the playoffs?
Go on, I'll let you go first.
I think.
Be honest.
I think it's touch and go. I think we'll beat the Commanders this week. I can't for the life of me who we think we're playing the week after that. I think the sticking point for me is the Saints and the Whiners. I know the Saints aren't having an amazing season, but they do have that potential to be a hiccup for us. No matter how, I think if we win that game, then yes. But I think also it depends on what the Sea Chickens are doing, because although they seem to be having an okay season, that's starting to fall apart a little bit at the moment. And then I think we're still relying on other teams to fall apart majorly to allow us to sneak in. Bearing in mind that we were 7th seed, were we not, when we went to win the Super Bowl? So there is that little. If we get to 7th seed, are we going to win the whole thing?
Yep.
I think that's my personal opinion. I think if we win the Saints game and we win the next 3, we're home and dry. But we are still relying on the Sea Chickens dropping the ball and a couple of other teams.
Our run-in, 4 weeks to go, Commanders, Saints, Giants, Whiners. 3 winnable games and a game that, frankly, we could be doing without having to go to the Denham Stadium looking to have to get something to get in. Andy, what's your thoughts at this stage?
Yeah, mathematically it's still, very much possible. We just need a few results to go our way, which luckily for us, even though we dropped this game, other teams around us also dropped games, so we are still in with a fighting chance of making it. for us, ideally, it would be Warners need to rest week 18 because they've got the first round bye, like I said last week. They don't want to risk any players getting injured, and we can sort of, their second and third strings out, and we can maybe sneak the win there. But, let's hope. I think if we can win these 3 games we've got coming up, it gives us a very good chance of still sneaking in as the 7th seed. But, I'm more positive after the Ravens game of how well we played that if we can keep that up, we can still do this.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. I think the only problem is number 7 is the Packers, and they hold the tiebreaker over us. So that game at Lambeau is seriously going to come back to haunt us potentially. That's my only worry. With a run on the Commanders, Saints, Giants, there's a good chance we could win 3 in a row there, and it could be enough, to get us. Well, you think to get us in, but I guess, like I said, we have to go to Santa Clara to get a win to guarantee we get in, and then it's the tiebreak that costs us in the end. That being said, I wouldn't complain if we just miss out in the playoffs at the end of the year, because rolling it back to the start of the season, I didn't expect to be sitting here, mid-December, talking about the playoffs at all, no matter how slim our chances would be. Never expected that. So to even be actually having to have this conversation is, amazing, considering where we thought we were going to be.
Well, like we said, I think at the start of the season, we were kind of expecting at this point to be talking about, where are we picking, within the top 5, and who do we want to start, looking ahead at, who are we going to draft in the top 5, and we're not, and we've shocked everyone, including all the pundits, of just how well we've done, and that even if we don't, like you say, even if we don't make the playoffs, the fact that we've come in with a very young team, without any real, especially on defense, established stars outside of obviously Aaron Donald, and honestly for me, I do think Ernest Jones now should be classed as a star for our defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do feel happy when he's on the field, I have to say.
Yeah. Outside of that, it's been rookies, a couple of free agent signings who are sort of cheap budget deals like Witherspoon, even John Johnson, he's not the same guy he was a few years ago, but, and we've made it work, and that's what gives me hope that, like I said earlier, with a couple of, maybe a couple of free agency signings, a couple of draft picks in the right places, this team is not looking for, the worry that it'd be, 5-10 years of, 500 mediocrity, and we're sort of scraping in the playoffs, that we, within a next year or two, could be making a real big push again for a Super Bowl, and our window is rapidly going to open up again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm just looking at what the Packers have got left. They've got the Bucks, Panthers, Vikings, and Bears. So, Baker Mayfield is bringing the Bucks to life. I don't know if that will hinder us, though. Packers will batter the Panthers. But the Vikings and Packers and Bears and Packers games could be different ball games.
Yeah, they're 2 divisional games as well, so to finish the season.
Something else I want to highlight for you guys and to everyone listening in as well. Charlie Martin has written a piece for us. It'll be up on the website probably tomorrow, folks, about our playoff hopes and where things kind of lie. Now, we're sitting here talking about the Packers. There's 2 other teams that are currently 6 and 7 that we're not discussing. We will face one of them. But Charlie details in the article that the Falcons and the Saints are actually placed first and second in the league for easiest run-ins for the rest of the season. Saints will be facing no one above 500. The Falcons have only got one team over 500, and that's the Colts, who they play on Christmas Eve. We rank 16th in terms of our run-in. Like I said, we've got the 4-9 Commanders, 6 and 7 Saints, 5 and 8 Giants, and the 10 and 3 Winers. So we've got basically the tiebreak over the Seahawks, who are also 6 and 7. So they're not factored in here because, as long as we match them, they can't finish above us, basically. But there's 2 other teams that are in this mix at the 6 and 7 that are vying for that last place. As it stands, we have a 38% chance, thanks to the Giants' victory over the Packers, of making the playoffs. And just as we're going to come in to talk about this week's matchup against the Commanders at SoFi, every game's a must-win anyway, right? But if we don't win this week, we go from 38% chance of making the playoffs to 10. That is how critical this week's match is. I'll probably not be the same every week. Every week it's going to be like must-win. We're expecting Napoli to make in, but we have to start this, last four running with like a very convincing win here as well. Especially when we've got one of the teams who've got a much easier running than us coming.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be going to them the week after. I said, folks, this article will be up on the website the next day. But I thought it was just interesting just to highlight there because, the Packers are. We'll talk about the Packers because they're sitting 7th at the moment, but there's other teams right behind us nipping at our heels and their heels that
it's
could be
so
easily
super
getting
tight.
overlooked. Yes, it's extremely tight.
Yeah,
in the
like I say,
NFC.
a lot of it is going to come down to a bit of luck on our side, but we've got to, like you say, we've got to do our part first before we even think about other teams, and that is we've got to win. This is basically for us to make the playoffs now. This is our playoff run to get to like the Super Bowl, so we've got to win these games. This week is our wild card game. We've got to win it, and then Saints the week after, and then the week after, and then we'll see what happens with the final one with the the Winers as to where they're sitting. But we've got to win at least these three to give ourselves a fighting chance. If we slip up any of these, I think we're out of the playoffs. I do feel that these three games are win or go homes.
Absolutely. And that moves us nicely on to this week's matchup, where we welcome the Washington Commanders, because they've still not changed their name, back
Such
to
a pants name.
It's awful.
Yeah,
but,
I actually preferred Washington.
Pants.
I actually preferred Washington football team than
so did
Commanders.
I thought it was more noble than
Like,
Commanders.
Commanders. Who are they commanding? Commanding the demise of their own defeat.
They're commanding nothing. But anyways, they're coming out of SoFi, 9:05 kickoff game. You can watch it on NFL and Dazn. So woohoo! No Sky Sports, no Neil Reynolds for this week. Gentlemen, how are you feeling about this game? We're just saying that it's must win, but I mean, let's break it down. How you actually feeling about this game? Is it going to be a tough one, or is this one that you're expecting we should take control from the off and not look back?
In an ideal world, it will be a straight off the bat. We'll absolutely smash them all over the park. Reality, I bet we struggle. I just got a funny feeling that we'll win, but I think it's going to be tight. As much as I'd love us to win 30, 40, whatever it is, to 10 or 7, or I just think it's going to be more difficult than we think it's going to be.
Andy, how you feeling, mate?
Yeah, I agree. It's got that game on paper. You're thinking they're not going to be a match for us, but it's going to be that game where it's coming down to a game-winning field goal with 30 seconds to go. It's got that feel. It's going to be one of them games. It's going to be a hard battle.
Having to rely on Habisic to win us the game.
Yeah, we're relying on Habisic to win the game, and it just has that feeling of this game. It's going to be one of them games, unfortunately. It's going to feel like that banana skin game where you kind of bite your nails going, we're going to blow this, and it's going to be, something. But I'm hopefully it ain't, guys, and it'll be, we're massively up, we're up by 25 points or something at half, and we can sort of, maybe have a whole fourth quarter of Carson Wentz in there because,
Oh, no, I'd rather chop my leg off.
At least if we've got Carson Wentz coming in for the fourth quarter, mate, it means we've coasted and it's going to be, easy peasy.
I think we'll struggle, and then next week when we go to the Saints, we'll batter them, and we'll be like, "What is going on? Why we struggled against Commanders? That absolutely smacked the Saints." Ugh.
But at least they've got no Montez Sweat and Chase Young anymore to smash us.
Well, that's it. They've got rid of their only stars.
Yeah. So,
but
no,
again,
it feels like one of them games again. It depends on Sam Howell and how well he plays. If he can either be, look like a competent quarterback, a top, NFL quarterback, starter, or he could be an absolute train wreck. He's one of those quarterbacks, again, you just don't know what you're getting, but you have a feeling that our secondary is going to make him look like much like Joe Flacco, for periods of the Browns game. We're going to make him look like a competent quarterback again. And he's going to, him and Terry McLaurin are going to, wipe the floor with us at times.
I don't mind that, just as long as we get a Geno Smith moment with Sam Howell when he saw Aaron Donald running towards him, like, oh my God, get rid of the ball.
Yeah, hopefully. But, that their offensive line's not great, so hopefully that is going to allow the likes of Byron Young, Hoyt, Turner, Donald to maybe get some, sacks in and get the guy. I think he's the most sacked quarterback in the league this year with like 60-odd sacks. So, hopefully that's a good sign that, our guys can get that pressure home and, Washington are going to have to be sticking all 5 just on Aaron Donald to try and stop him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's on Danzig and not Sky Sports because Neil Reynolds. Oh, I'd rather pull my eyeballs out.
Same here.
He's terrible.
Don't think there's anyone that can stand that man, and if there is, then I don't want to know you. Basically,
he's got like zero personality. It's just nothing there,
and doesn't have a clue about the game either.
No,
that's the worst part. He doesn't have a clue.
But yeah, he's got the cheek to try and get people to tour America with him.
Yeah.
He's just. He needs to do one. See you later, buddy.
Yeah, because Neil Reynolds keeps coming up in this podcast. You can tell we're all fans of him, folks. We absolutely love Neil.
Honestly, if Sky had someone like Jason Bell and Osi Umenyiora,
yes,
I'd probably sign up straight away for the Sky packages. I'd be like, fine, I'll go with. But yeah, well, that guy's there. There's no way I'd even consider it.
I just find that the Sky coverage just has too much chatting of crap between the plays. It's, oh God, there's a break of play. Let's go back to the studio. Like, just leave it on the game. Stop dicking around.
Yeah. If you want to be red zone, then be red zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's it. Because
stop blocking games for everybody else to watch.
Yeah. Because if you watch the actual feeds, like, so if you for example, if you watch it was Fox last week, so it was Fox 11 KTTV, the game was on. Like, the guys commentating the game are the guys who are actually hosting the game. So you're constantly with them for like 3 hours. There's no, let's go back to the show. No, you go back to the show for half time, but that's it. But it's the guys in the booth is the guys you're hearing from like the whole game. There's no, let's go back and check in with us. Let's go back and talk about this or whatnot. And it's, it feels like you're actually, I'm watching the game. I'm watching him. I'm not going back to listen to him talk about, we're watching the Rams game, but let's talk about something else that happened elsewhere and forget about what we're watching right now. They're just...
It's shit.
For lack of a better phrase, it is. Yeah, I mean, if you want to watch and hear something top other games, you watch Scott Hansen in Red Zone.
Oh, he's brilliant.
I made a joke actually. Just moving on, bit of news if no one's seen it. That from not next season coming, season after, we're going to have 9 international games. Next year, the NFL is going to Brazil for the first time. I believe it's Sao Paulo they're talking about going to, but the season after. Sorry,
that's got us written all over it.
Well, there's talk about Mexico next year as well, I believe, and I think Mexico's more likely to be us. But that's the point I'm coming on is we're talking about like in the Discord server, they're talking about guys. We're talking about like the international markets and all that, and they'll say about Australia and that. And I just dropped in a joke. Welcome, folks, to 24 hours of commercial-free football. I'm Scott Hansen. Like, imagine that week of Red Zone. Like, Scott Hansen, like...
earning the mega bucks.
Yeah. Well and truly.
And speaking of Scott Hansen, it was for Omaha Productions, the Manning brothers thing, and they done a kind of joke with Scott Hansen this week about how do you do this and all that, and they're basically joking about when do you actually go to the toilet? Do you wear diapers? And he makes it he's kind of got his arm off camera, and the last second he takes his arm away and it's like a box of Pampers, and he's like, "How the hell did they guys find it? How did they find it?" And he just puts the box down. Yeah. So, more international games next year, to the point that Scott Hansen is going to need to take on a sidekick, and pull shifts at this rate with the time zones.
I'll do that.
I'll do it. I don't mind. You want to pay me? I'll do it.
Yeah, I think moving back to that Brazil game, I think it was likely to be us. We've got high Spanish-speaking natives.
Yeah.
It would make sense for us to go south than across the pond. As much as I'd love them to come back to London, or Germany. Not, but yeah, I think we'll go south.
There is talk. I think people are thinking that the Jags game next year, we're due to play them. I think next year and potentially
2025. Yeah. I know. It was a couple of weeks ago. I was looking into who we had in our kind of upcoming schedules, and it was actually to do. I think it was to do with the Jets actually. And I noticed 2025 we've got the Jags away. So
they had a good win the other day. Go back to fixtures, smacking the Texans.
Yeah, they did. Stroud went down though because I noticed I got bugger all in terms of fantasy points for him, and I didn't see what happened to him.
Yeah,
it's not getting for dropping Mahomes to the bench because he's been getting no points for me.
He's my starting QB.
Fucking been awful for me this year. Can hell Mahomes. Drafted him first as well. Anyways, we'll get fantasy football later. Back to the Commanders game to wrap it up, guys. Predictions and scoreline predictions for this week. Matt, I'll come to you first.
27-10. Us.
Obviously.
But that won't happen until the fourth quarter.
Okay, Andy?
23-20 to us.
Jesus.
I am
I just have that feeling it's going to be come down to field goal.
Oh, God, I hope it's not that. I won't have any nails left.
I'm going to be a bit more positive. I'm going to go 33-17 to the Rams.
No,
I think the confidence after last week to be able to put 31 points up against a team like the Ravens going to do the team a lot of wonders. We're back at home,
Yeah, but I remember us saying that after the Warners game, and then look what happened. We couldn't put points up for the next few weeks. So I think I'm worried that we've used all our points up last week, and that's it. Now we've got no touchdowns coming for a few weeks.
Right, well, you've just jinxed us then for this week, Andy. Thanks for that.
Yeah, if it all goes wrong, it's your fault.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's like my fantasy team. It all goes wrong anyway, whatever I touch.
Well, I think the main thing, guys, is we're all agreeing we're expecting a win this week. So,
100%.
Be it by a point, it's still a win at the end of the day.
A win is a win.
Yeah,
a win is a win.
I'm hoping it's not going to be, and it's going to be a blowout. And like I say, Carson Wentz is in at the fourth quarter because the game's over and done with, and everybody's relaxing. Karen Williams is 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. Puka's, 200 yards, and so's Cup, and then everybody's happy. But you just, like you said, have that feeling it's not going to be that sort of game.
Hypothetically speaking, if that happens, like Stafford plays out of his skin for 3 quarters, Wentz comes in and has an absolute blinder, what do you do then?
What are you drinking? What's in that cup? Can I guess?
Oh yeah, Wentz still goes back to the bench. I don't care.
Just checking. Why of all the quarterbacks in the world, why him? You know what I mean?
That or Brett Rippon? So him?
That's that.
Both of them can fuck off.
Well, yeah. Well, we're stuck with one at the moment, so let's just keep with the one we've got.
So
So hopefully we maybe get one back, or we get one from elsewhere.
Yeah.
We'll see. So, moving on to Andy and I's dreaded topic of discussion, and we all have to talk about it because it's playoff season for us, and that is the Sleep Deprivation Bowl Championship, our fantasy football league. First of all, Matt, how are you getting on with fantasy football this year?
So I'm in a league with all my military mates. There's 16 of us in it, and I have snuck into the playoffs on 7-7.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
So not holding out much hope, to be brutally honest, for this week. I've just lost Keenan Allen, who's out, and he's been point-scoring magician so far this season. But I've put in DeMarcus Robinson. I've got Puka. I've got Atwell on the bench should I need him. If he, at the moment, he's showing he's not playing on 0 points. I'm just trying to log in and see what else I've got. I've got where is it?
I believe Atwell's still in concussion protocol, so I can't see him playing this week.
I've got Mahomes as my quarterback, playing New England, so come on. Mixon, Chuba Hubbard, who's actually been not that bad. Because of the depth of our league, you're proper scraping the barrels for running backs. So, but he's actually not been too bad. And they're against Atlanta this week, so there should be a few points there for him. Then I've got Robinson and Puka. I've got tight end Cole Kmet. Is it Kmet from the Bears?
Yeah, Cole Kmet. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been very hit and miss all season.
Yeah.
I've got Tom Boyd. Boyd is a wide receiver from the Bengals, and then McManus as a kicker and Browns as a defense. And then on my bench, I've got Chandler, Atwell, Smith-Schuster, George Kittle, although I'm going to swap him for Cole Kmet, I think. And then our defense. So I'll probably swap the Browns defense. We're playing Chicago, and we're playing Washington. So I'll swap them over, I think. And swap Kittle and Kmet over, and then pray. pray. Although having said that, even if I crash and burn at 6th in the league, I get £30 to spend in Fanatics. That's worth at least 2 T-shirts at the current sale going on at the moment.
Oh, well, there you go. Obviously, Andy and I didn't have a great season. So, our official fantasy football league has wrapped up its regular season, and we now head into our playoffs. So, for anyone that's not in it, we have 2 conferences, the Vermeil and the McVeigh Conference. Within them, we've got 2 divisions of 5 teams each, Isaac Bruce, Marshall Falk, Darren Donald, and the Cooper Cup divisions. Congratulations to Lewis MUFC 99. He won the Isaac Bruce division with a 9-5 record. And congratulations to OBJ's missing ACL, who won the Marshall Falk division on 9-5. Commiserations to myself, finishing dead last in the Isaac Bruce division, 5-9. Chris from the LA Rams UK team, who was 4-10 over the McVeigh Conference. It was close. It went down to the wire in the Cooper Cup division between West Ham UFC Matt and DJ Wright 2000, who both finished on 10-4, with West Ham UFC Matt taking the division. In the Aaron Donald division, Stormbuster led the way on 9-5, and Andy, mate, unfortunately, mate, you hold the number 1 draft pick for next year.
Yeah.
With a 2-12 record. And
Caleb Williams draft for me.
You tanked, mate. You tanked, and you'll get him next year.
Yeah,
so that takes us on to the playoffs. So playoffs take place this week. OBJ, the 2 division winners in each conference get a bye. You get a week off. You get to put your feet up, and then do the bye week. So we will have. If I can get that up and up. Show me. Technology is a wonderful thing when it works, folks. Sleeper doesn't want to play ball with me. Just to try and actually tell you who's playing who this week.
What app do you guys use?
We use Sleeper. We actually, when we were setting the league up at the start of the year, we put out to the guys who were wanting to be in the league to ask them what they preferred, and someone suggested Sleeper, which was better because it means that we can have like an admin account that's not actually in the league to basically be the commissioner and oversee and manage the league, which was much better than having basically someone who's already in the league. For example, there was a mistake made with one of the rosters in the season. Guy accidentally dropped someone that he didn't mean to drop. So we were able to kind of help him out with that, and it basically means that we've got someone that's unbiased in the league.
Yeah.
So looking at the V Conference, the first round of the playoffs, DW Adam takes on Dave John. Looking at the projected points, DW Adam is a favourite by 8 points to win that. And then there's a tight one between Santi 7 Chelsea and DJ Wright 2000, with Santi taking a 2-point lead this week. So the winner of Santi and DJ Wright will meet Stormbuster in the divisional round. And then DW Adam, Dave John, they'll take on West Ham UFC Matt in the divisional round. As for the Vermeil Conference, I said Lewis MUFC 99 and OBJ's missing ACL both get buys. T-Boy takes on Mission and Golf Bowl. T-Boy holds a 10-point projected lead over him. And Harrow Horseman takes on Nick 1001 with a 2-point lead going for Harrow. There is, of course, a consolation bracket for those of us that didn't make the playoffs, but I mean, I can speak for yourself, Andy. I couldn't really care less now. I don't really care how the next 2 weeks will go for me with the consolation bracket. I already know that I'm awful at fantasy football. I don't need salt to be rubbed into my wounds.
Yep, same here, mate. And, you know, even my, I've just had a quick look now, and it says even now I've only got a 37% chance of winning my consolation game. That tells you everything you need to know about this season.
Wow.
Yeah, it tells you everything you need to know.
Who have you got?
I've got.
Have you just got Dross?
Basically, I've got Goff as my starting quarterback, DeAndre Swift, Tajay Spears, Drake London, Tyler Boyd, Kyle Pitts, Justin Jefferson, but he's still questionable, so I don't know. Najee Harris, Evan McPherson, and the Lions defense. That's basically my starter. So
it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not amazing, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I was the one that unfortunately every person I drafted, my starting complete draft, including my bench, has all been put on IR throughout the year.
Yeah,
it's been that bad for me this year, and I've literally, like I said before we came on, I picked somebody up on off the waiver wire on the Wednesday, and on the Thursday it was announced he went on IR. And it's just like, right, I am just cursed for this year.
Andy basically was the Rams from last year, is what he's saying.
Yeah, everyone I touched injured.
Brilliant. That's not what you want, is it?
No. So,
who have you got, John?
Absolutely. Next year, what I'm going to do, just to let you know, next year I'm just going to draft everybody on the whiners, and then that way, if they all get injured like this year, it does us a favour. So there we go.
I like your thinking.
Yeah. That is my strategy.
I've not got my app opening up off the top of my head. I've got CJ Stroud and Pat Mahomes as my quarterbacks. I've got Deebo Samuel, who grudgingly has been a godsend to my team in the run-in.
He's been annoyingly good.
I've got TJ Lockett there as well. I've got George Kittle and Dallas Goedert as my tight ends. I've got the Eagles as my defense, and I think I've got Jason Sanders as my kicker. I've got, on paper, fairly decent players, but struggle to buy a win most weeks. So, I couldn't really care less. But so just because we're in the playoff season, folks, just to reiterate for those taking part. So we've got the two conferences. They'll whittle down to conference championship games. The two conference championship winners, their winning scores will be taken, and who out of the two of them has the highest score for that week in the conference championship games will be crowned our Sleep Deprivation Bowl champion for 2023 and will receive a prize in the post. The conference winners will receive a little token of their triumphs winning their inaugural conference championships, but the overall winner will receive a little something special in the post as well. And then next year we'll be looking to expand our fantasy football a bit more and make it more interesting next year.
Count me in.
Yep. Sweet.
You want to join it again next year, Andy? Because I don't know if I want it. I'm quite happy just the admin it, man.
I was going to say, you know what? I'll take the admin role next year, and you can, we'll just leave it at that.
You'll have Caleb Williams as your starting quarterback. So big question for you, Andy. Since you're going to take Caleb in the draft next year, how much ownership are you going to give him of your team?
None. I'm like Jerry Jones, mate. You ain't getting nothing out of me.
Oh, great one. Awesome. But is there anything else, guys, you want to quickly bring up before we wrap up for the evening?
No, I think that about covers everything for the evening, I think. From me, anyway.
No, from me. Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it. It's been nice to talk Ram stuff. I don't get often do it at home. My wife kind of, you're talking football. My
I'm feeling very well.
My eldest, Mary, she pops in and out and watches it. But no, it's been nice to talk, specifically Rams for 95 minutes.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Matt, and we'll definitely get you back on again in the future.
Have you on for the
Thank you very much for joining us and also for sharing your trip experience to LA. It was interesting
and
to
you
hear.
Didn't make any of us jealous, honest.
No, you did not at all. Not at all. Anyways, folks, we have been the LA Rams UK podcast. Thank you so much to everyone who has been watching us along on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, or X. I don't like calling X. It's still Twitter to me, god damn it. And also to everyone who still listens via the audio channels. Thanks for sticking with us, folks. Thanks to everyone who's now joining in that has never heard us before. Hope you enjoy the podcast and continue to enjoy us. As always, you can catch us on our social media channels. If you're not on the Discord server, go on the Discord server for plenty of Rams chat there. You can buy us a coffee. Keep an eye on the LARams.uk website. Like I said, we have an article going up about playoff hopes, which will go up tomorrow, and coming up pretty soon will be our kind of yearly look at guys in the team that are becoming free agents that we want to re-sign or not re-sign, and also potential guys that we may want to sign in free agency, but that'll be coming up pretty soon, guys. But apart from that, I've been joined by Andy and Matt this evening, and we will catch you all next week, folks, for another edition of the LA Rams UK podcast. Good night, folks, and catch you next week.